Okay, so we want to prove that for any set A, the empty set is a subset of A. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at the definition of subset. The set A is a subset of B if every element in A is also an element of B. So the logical notation for this statement is A is a subset of B if and only if for every X, if X is in A, then X is in B. So let's go ahead and start the proof. So to show that, let's see, the empty set is a subset of A, right? We must show that for every X, if X is in the empty set, this implies that X is in A. So let's go ahead and consider this conditional statement. So consider the statement. So consider this statement. For every X, X is an element of the empty set, implies X is in A, right? So if we have this conditional statement, if X is an element of the empty set, right? We know that this is a false assumption, right? We know that X cannot be an element of the empty set because the empty set has no elements. So remember, if you have a false assumption, regardless of if the conclusion is true or false, you know this entire statement is going to be true, right? So we know this statement has a false assumption, right? Which makes the statement for every X, X is an element of the empty set, implies X is an element of A true statement, right? And if we have for every X, if X is in the empty set, this implies that X is in A is true. This implies that the empty set is a subset of A, right? This implies that the empty set is a subset of A, right? And that's what we set out to do, right? So remember our truth tables, right? Let's go ahead and do P, Q, right? And then P implies Q, right? We had true, true, false, false, true, false, true, false. And true implies true is true. True implies false is false. False implies true is true. False implies false is true. So notice whenever we had a false assumption, we knew the statement P implies Q would be true, right? So that's what we used here. We used this fact that if we had a false assumption, we know this entire statement would be true. And so this is an example of a vacuous truth, right? Or vacuous proof, right? Okay. Whenever you have a false assumption in a conditional statement, you know the entire conditional statement is going to be true. And this is what's known as a vacuous proof or vacuous truth, right?